You know that moment when your phone glitches and shows you a text from like 3 years ago from someone you don't talk to anymore? In that split second where time collapses and you're both there in the here and now somehow, although they have nothing to do with your current moment, that's Uranus and Gemini energy. It's the equivalency of your consciousness getting struck by lightning while scrolling through the infinite feed of all of existence. Because with this next 7 to 8 year cycle of Uranus and Gemini, it's not changing the way that we think, it's revolutionizing thinking itself. So let's paint a picture the two planets making the biggest impact for this Uranus and Gemini transit. Both of these planets are responsible for our lower mind and our higher mind specifically. And let's start off with Uranus, which is the quintessential F the rules of the entire planetary system. Uranus is the awakener, the pattern disruptor, the one that gives you those eureka moments when all the chips are down. That 3 a.m. breakthrough. Uranus is the universe's way for us to never get too stuck into our own patterns. And now we talk about Gemini, the child of Mercury, the trickster archetype realized. Gemini is Mercury's child that speaks in tongues, thinks in multiples, and treats consistency like a suggestion rather than a rule. It rules communication, information, the synapses of our brain that fires off in order for us to collect the info that we need. Gemini is a messenger that never delivers the same message twice. But when you put these two energetics together, you get a mental electricity. Innovation starts to move at the speed of a thought. Writing that idea down becomes more impressive than ever. We're at the point of society where a literal DM can change the course of human history. The last time we had Uranus and Gemini, we were dealing with an information war, code breaking, radio propaganda, and the birth of the computer in and of itself. At the time, one of the most expressive faces that I feel really represented the Uranus and Gemini energy would have been Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was one of the greatest boxers, warriors, and men that the world has ever known. But one of the most dangerous parts about him wasn't the way he fought. It was his ability to speak, his ability to articulate, to make people laugh, to make people think, to make people see a side of America that other people try to put their eyes away from. His intelligence in and of itself was a lead for rebellion against what everyone else was. Intangibility that Uranus and Gemini is giving things that shine bright when it comes to the mental facilities. Which brings us to another conversation. The fact that conversations are going to change. The way people used to view things are going to change immensely, and how they talk about these things are changing. One of my favorite ones personally that I've been seeing within the last bit, especially as Uranus just shifted over into Gemini, is people's discernment between human-created things and AI created things. And my favorite part about this, being someone who's been an artist, who's been around artists and people who have been trying to promote themselves for years upon years and just trying to get a chance based off of their work, I found it really interesting about how people were so appalled by the idea that AI can create art, however, would never support the people that were around them doing those things. And if you heard what I just said and felt something like, oh, wait, no, I always supported artists, or like, oh, shoot, well, I was going to go support this other thing. This is the point. This is what Uranus and Gemini is about. There's a take about everything. If you look and go on TikTok, TikTok has done an excellent job at categorizing every type of stereotype that exists in the book based off of our modern history. However, are you going to allow yourself to just stick yourself to what those things are saying? Or are you going to advance on what those archetypes and characterizations are and make it your own? Uranus and Gemini is giving people the ability to translate between the dimensions to make what was previously unspeakable speakable. However, the shadow of this is that if your mind moves too fast, you may also leave people behind. There's also a quote that goes, name one genius that ain't crazy. People may not get you when you first lean into the truth of Uranus and Gemini. Why? Because we're pointing out things that have never been pointed out before in this same exact way. When I was a kid, I had a Wikipedia. I thought I broke the code in terms of finding information. Now, a kid at the same age as me finding Wikipedia knows how to use AI tools better than any of us do. And this isn't the technology's fault. However, I will say in 2025, the integration of technology and its impact, as if it were their God, as if it is actual deity. Some people think that AI is coming from an alien race in certain capacities. Some people think AI is just a tool and machine and we can use it and speak to it. However, just the conversation on how we treat the AI systems alone is what Uranus and Gemini is about. But here's the thing, regardless of if you use it or not, there's still new forms of consciousness being crafted. And the line between human and artificial is going to continue to dance further. Everyone thinks it's all fun and games until somebody has an entire phone in their head. That's the kind of thing Uranus and Gemini wants to bring. This transit is where the concept of memorization in school wasn't truly showing intelligence. But what Uranus and Gemini wants you to do is know the topic, know how to explore the topic, and know how to speak into the topic as things go. That is the key to this. So just know that based off of how Uranus and Gemini is set up, there is a revolution happening on our minds, how we speak with one another, and how we communicate the things that are intrinsic to our soul. And one of my biggest suggestions about Uranus and Gemini is to learn a new language. If you don't really know astrology as a language, learn your astrology. If you wanted to learn that one skill, but you just had some type of imposter syndrome behind it, just go and learn that one skill. If you're not flexible with your ability to gain information, you will not make it through the innovation. If you refuse to even start to download an AI thing because it's against this, you will lose. But on the other side of this, grounding and really representing and feeling into the physical, knowing what's going on with your body, tapping into your chakra system is also at an all-time high. And to be honest with you, if you're able to embrace the duality of the needs of your physical and the needs of the constant advancing mental capacity that this world is facing, that's when you win in this Uranus and Gemini time frame. When revolution calls, you don't turn the other cheek scared. You know that this is the change that is needed to happen to get to the next point. And if you hear the electricity in my voice, this is because your ability to change and innovate is going to be necessary for your survival moving forward. This isn't to scare you. This is to shock you into the belief that what you know that you're supposed to do, land and show up with on this planet is important for a reason. And this is your time to get into it if you so choose. Or you can wait and let it leave you behind. But don't look back and say nothing told you to get into this. Because Uranus and Gemini isn't coming to make our lives easier, but it is trying to have us wake up to the things that are happening right in front of us. It's shattering the glass between the human mind and the cosmos. And now that that's open and the sky is a little bit different, the information that we receive is on a different octave. So it's between what we think that we know and what's actually possible that's outside of our wildest dreams. The future doesn't belong to those who think that they can predict it fully. It belongs to those who are willing to think it into existence. Uranus and Gemini needs a different kind of mind. We need one that's both electric and grounded, both individual and collective, both human and something else entirely. So yes, reality as you know it has started to glitch. It's not because you're a bug in the system. It's really the system upgrading itself. And don't you remember this is part of what you signed up for? To be the innovation that breaks through, to show the world what true revolution of the mind, soul, and spirit can look like. Well, welcome to the age of Aquarius. And Uranus and Gemini launches you into the character that you were meant to be.